يا بني إنها إن تك مثقال حبة من خردل فتكن في صخرة أو في السماوات أو في الأرض يأتي بها الله. Understand the word of the ulama. Be good to your father, do not disobey. Obey your father, do not disobey your mother. Go do something nice. Be nice to both of them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, listen to this. Not only when they are Muslim, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. If they make jihad, they struggle, they force you, if they try to do jihad, وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ, to associate partners with me, فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا, do not obey them. وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. Immediately Allah, and hey, don't forget, He says, don't obey them when they ask you to associate partners with me. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٍ. If they ask you to associate with me what you have now knowledge on, you don't know, they ask you to worship their God or false God, He said, do not obey them. فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. And then immediately Allah says, do not obey them, and He said, وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا, and be kind with them in this dunya. And the ulama, they say, why Allah says وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيا? He didn't say وَصَاحِبْهُمَا, and He could have said وَصَاحِبْهُمَا بِالْمَعْرُوف, be good to them. Allah فِي الدُّنْيا, in this world, because they're not going to be with you. If they stay the way they are on their kufr, they're not going to be with you in the akhirah. فَصَاحِبْهُمَا, this is dunya, is a test. This is a test for you. But be good to them. A lot of people, they says, I'm a Muslim, my father is not, and be nice to him. And lots of parents, when they see their children, wallah, become Muslim, and they have this akhlaq of Islam, and they treat their parent nicely more than before, wallahi, they says, I like my son. I am happy that my son become a Muslim. There was a story that happens in England. They were neighbors. There's some non-Muslim family, they live neighbor to the Muslim. And the non-Muslim family, they saw this daughters, they treat their mother so nice. They respect their mother. This is our ibadah. To be dutiful to our parent, it's an act of worship. It's like you worship Allah. And she saw that they are so nice with this. She came and she brought her daughter. She says, can you make my daughter like you? Like you. They say, we are Muslim, and they says, please make her Muslim. I'm happy. She treat me so bad. But I'm jealous that your daughters, they treat you so, they kiss their head, they hug you, they respect you. This is Islam. For us, it's an act of Islam. You know, Yusuf Estes is a good friend of mine. When I asked him long time ago, why you become Muslim? He says, this Egyptian, he had a business partner from Egypt. There's a Yusuf Estes, long time ago. Allah, this is a story. It's a good friend of mine. I asked him, why you become Muslim? Yusuf Estes, big priest. He says, I was always debating with one Egyptian brother. He was my partner at they had 99-cent store or something. They have a convenience store together. And I'm always debating with this Egyptian. But when my father come, this Egyptian guy, he get up from his chair and he gives his chair to my grandfather. I don't even do this to my father, to his own father, Yusuf Estes. His father was alive at that time. But this guy respect my father. As Muslims, we do not just respect our fathers, no, and mothers. No, we respect the elders from other family, even though if they are not Muslims. This is amazing. When you see an old person, you have to give him your chair. You have to cross the street for him. This is an act of ibadah. This is what Allah said. This is what we learn from this ayah. وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ. And then Yusuf Estes, he says, my father one day, he says, what is this? And then Yusuf Estes, he starts telling him, this is my religion, this is my deen. And Yusuf Estes, one of the reasons he became Muslim, he says, because it caught my mind, the akhlaq of the Muslims. Many people, they actually, treating the elders is one of the highest level of Islam. And treating them bad is one of them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, even if they are kuffar, they are from other religion than yours, He says, صَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. And then He says, وَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. And follow those who worship me, those who return to me. When it comes to following and imitating, فَاتَّبِعْ سَبِيلَ مَنْ أَنَابَ إِلَيْهِ. Don't follow your fathers and mother if they are not on the right path, but treat them nice. There's a difference Do not confuse between obedience on the haram and the religion. You may not follow them in their religion, but you have to be nice and dutiful to them and respectful and take care of them to the best of your ability. Then when this is finished, Luqman starts talking. What did he say, Luqman? Ya bunayya, innaha in taku mitqala habbatin min khardal fatakun fi sakhra aw fi samawati aw fi al-ardi ya'ti biha Allah. Subhanallah. Look, Luqman, he talks about la tushrik billah, shirk. Then immediately, bir al-walidain. Allah said that should be second. And Luqman alayhi salam mentioned it from the scripture. Then the third one comes before salah, because he's going to tell him, Ya bunayya aqimi salat, Ya bunayya iqmur bil ma'roof. Convey the truth, convey the message of Islam. But before we do everything, look what he said. Ya bunayya, innaha in taku mitqala habbat. Oh my dear son, oh my beautiful son, my beloved son. If there is a mitqala habbatin min khardal, if it's a small atom of a mustard seed, and inside, look at Allah, fi sakhra. He didn't say ala sakhra, on the top of a rock. Luqman is talking to his son. He's teaching him how to make sure that do not oppress, do not miss the smallest mistake with Allah. He knows it. Don't think that Allah didn't see it. In takun mitqala habbatin min khardal. If it is smallest mustard seed, it's inside the rock. Fi sakhratin, aw fi samawati, aw fi al-ardi. Or this small seed, mustard of seed, is in the heavens, on the biggest galaxy, lost in there. Or in the 7 heavens down. Look at the Luqman. Ya'ti biha Allah. Allah will bring it in the day of judgment. What we learn from this? Before you do nothing, you move forward. I told you that the biggest sin is to associate partners with Allah. It's a big oppression. But don't think I'm telling you, you do the small oppressions. Even the small ones. Don't do the big ones. Do not even do this. This is wisdom. As much as you can, he's teaching his son that Allah is watching you. He's not telling him that you are going to be infallible and you're not going to make mistakes. Don't understand it this way. But remember that Allah is watching. When you are on your phone alone, Allah is watching. When you are in the middle of the desert, Allah is watching. And not only that He sees you, if you made the smallest mistake, Allah knows about it. So make sure you ask forgiveness. That's another thing. That's why the ulama, they say, لا صغيرة مع الإصرار ولا كبيرة مع الاستغفار. There is no small sin with contentment. I am happy with small sin. They become big. And there is no big sin with forgiveness. No big sin that will be bigger than the forgiveness of Allah. There is no bigger sin that beyond the tawbah of Allah, that beyond the forgiveness of Allah. If you do this, it's shirk. You know, the ulama, they say, if you think that your sin is bigger than the mercy of Allah, you are committing an act of blasphemy. If you think that there is no sin bigger than the forgiveness of Allah, and there is no small sin that Allah is not watching, and that's why they say لا صغيرة مع الإصرار. When you are happy with the small sin, they become big. Why? Because you are making small sin, but you're bragging about it. Don't you istahyi min Allah? At least hide yourself, because you're doing it against Allah. Whether it's small, it's a sin. So that's why they say. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith sahih, he said, إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِنَ يَرَى ذُنُوبَهُ كَجَبَلٍ يَقَعُ عَلَيْهِ. A believer seizes his dunub wa ma'asi like a mountain is going to crush over his head. Are we almost? إِنَّ الْمُؤْمِن, the believer seizes the dunub and ma'asi of him like a mountain is going to crush. وَإِنَّ الْفَاجِرَ, the transgressor, يَرَى ذُنُوبَهُ كَدُبَابَةٍ وَقَعَتْ عَلَى أَنْفِهِ فَقَامَ بِهَا هَكَذَا فَطَارَتْ. And the transgressor, he looks at the biggest sin like a fly that deposited on his nose, and he asks her to leave and it's gone. You see the difference between? This is the believer who believes in Allah. Small sin, for him is like a big mountain. It's going to crush me. That's a good feeling. وَخَافُونِي وَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ. Fear me, fear Allah. يخافون الله. You fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a good, fear is a good positive mental attitude, as by the way. It stops you from oppressing people. It stops you from doing haram. Because you fear. If you don't have fear, you have jur'ah. And also you have raja. Al-khawf wal-raja. Al-raja is hope. You have a graded hope. You hope Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so on. So he's telling him, if there is a mustard seed, it's inside the rock, it's in the heaven, if it's in the seven earth, Allah will bring it. Go. So he's teaching his son al-muraqaba. That Allah is capable. Inna Allah latifun khabir. Allah is all-knowing, all-aware of everything, every leaf. That's a powerful advice from a father to his son. When one of us has done something like, my son, remember that whatever you do, you are going to be paid for it, or you are going to be recompensed for it, whether it's a good deed. And also when you do good deed, فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ, this has the positive and the negative. What's the positive? وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ضَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ لَا تَحْقِرَنَّ مِنَ الْمَعْرُوفِ شَيْئًا. If you do an atom of a mustard seed of a good deed, you shall see it. وَنَضَعُ الْمَوَازِينَ الْقِسْطَ لِيَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. We are going to put the mawazeen. Some people will be deprived from Jannah because of one hasana. Because you remember Ashabul A'raf? And some people, their hasanat and sayyi'at, they are equal. They call Ashabul A'raf. And we make a khutbah al-Jumu'ah about Ashabul A'raf, the people of the wall. There's a people on the wall between Jannah, and that shows you the value of one small deed. Now you're sitting here, remember that this is the time to gather al-hasanat. What the Prophet ﷺ, he says, وَابْتِسَامَتُكَ فِي وَجْهِ أَخِيكَ صَدَقَةٌ. A smile on your Muslim brother, on a Muslim sister, for the sister, it's an act of charity. Look how many charities we miss. And you don't have some time to put the money from. Then he told him, Ya bunayya. After this, you know that Allah is watching. You know that the good deed and the bad deed, even the small and the big, the positive. And he says, Ya bunayya aqimi salat. And immediately, there is no, يقول عمر بن الخطاب لا حظ في الإسلام لمن لا حظ له في الصلاة. There is no chance for a person to be a Muslim if he is not observing his salat. And Luqman did not forget this. He said, Ya bunayya aqimi salat. Oh my beloved son, establish the prayer. And it's a difference in Arabic between iqamat as-salah wa salli. Allah never say in the Quran, salli, pray. He always say, establish the prayer. Wa aqimi as-salata li dhikri. Wa aqimu as-salata wa atu az-zakah. Establish the prayer. Always Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned iqama. Iqama means is to preserve the time of the prayer, is to preserve the wudu, is to preserve the khushu'. Is all is a package deal. Is the timing of the salah, is this iqamat as-salah, aqim as-salat. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will stop at the salat, inshallah another time. We cannot go with everything in 10 minutes. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, أول ما يسأل عليه العبد يوم القيامة الصلاة. The first thing that Allah will question the person in the day of judgment, as-salat, his prayer. فإذا صلحت صلح سائر عمله وإذا فسدت فسد سائر عمله. If the salat is good and is proper, all of the rest will be easy for him. And if the salat is messed up, all of those are gone. أول ما يسأل عليه. If you die now, Allah will say, did you pray Maghrib? He's not going to ask you for Isha. Isha is not yet. Did you pray Maghrib? You say no. Why? أول ما يسأل عليه الصلاة. This is, we have to have this in our mind. وآخر كلام النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كانت الصلاة. The last word, the Prophet ﷺ is dying. Imagine the Prophet is departing from this world and he keeps saying, As-salah, 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 wa ma malakat ayman, your salah, your salah, your salah. Umar ibn al-Khattab, when somebody, Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi, when he stabbed him and he's bleeding and he's about to die, he's fainted and he's about in the agony of death. And somebody, his son, he told them, do you want my father to get up? Because he's still in the agony, he's not dead yet. He says, how? He says, make adhan. And then they say, Allahu Akbar. And Umar ibn al-Khattab, he says, is it time for salat? Wallahi, it's in the seerah of Umar. Why? Because it's amazing. You have to be like this. Adhan, boom, that's it. Unless you Now we're talking about in general. You're not making surgery to somebody, you are a doctor, and then you hear the adhan, Salaam alaikum, you let the person die. No, you make arrangements. Sometimes you can even combine the prayers. You just need to learn. There is a situation when you can combine the Dhuhr and Asr, and you have all of this time. So there is certain things. There is a lot of things that Allah made easy on our deen, but we have to learn them properly. So أول ما يسأل عن الصلاة and on and on. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the ability to understand those advice of Luqman alayhi. There is more, actually, more beautiful. He started with the Tawheed, with the oneness of Allah, do not associate. And then he went to Birr al-Walidain, and be dutiful to your parent, and on and on. And even though if they are mushrikeen, if they are not believers, stick with them, be nice with them, do not obey them on the shirk and the disobedience of Allah. But still you have to be kind and nice to them, not only them, even those who are elders. And then he moves, if there is a small atom of seed that is in the heavens, on the earth, Allah will bring it. So don't think that I'm only advising you to stay away from shirk, but do this minor sin. Even the minor sin, be careful, because minors after minors after minors, they become major sin, and they may take you away from this. And then he moves to a salat, and he told him, don't miss your prayer, establish your prayer, be dutiful to the prayer, and so on. And then he moves from salah, command other people, wa'mur bil ma'ruf, command other people, don't be selfish, don't be arrogant about your own. I don't care about, he says, wa'mur bil ma'ruf, wanha anil munkar. When you see haram, when you see somebody says doing something wrong, forbid him with the beautiful preaching. And then he told him, wala tusa'ir khaddaka linnas, don't be arrogant, don't be selfish. Look at the advice from the Tawheed. لا تصعر خدك للناس. Don't, when somebody talking to you, I looked at the tafsir, look at him in the eyes, be kind, listen to them, argue with them with beautiful preaching. And then he said, ولا تصعر خدك للناس ولا تمشي في الأرض مرحا. And don't walk when you have money, you have knowledge, you have degrees, you have this prestige, you have become a valuable person. Don't walk with arrogance. ولا تمشي في الأرض مرحا. Subhanallah, you're not going to be told in the mountains in another verse. He says, وَقْصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ, and don't go too fast, don't go too low, go strong, be solid. وَقْصِدْ فِي مَشْيِكَ وَغْضُضْ مِنْ صَوْتِكَ, and don't speak with a loud voice when people are talking. Speak with them in a soft manner and in a kind manner. إِنَّ أَنْكَرَ الْأَصْوَاتِ لَصَوْتُ الْحَمِيرِ. And he says, the worst of voices is the voices of donkey. Don't be like those. We have many examples, like some people, when you talk to them, they start screaming. Hujjah, but listen, apply with wisdom. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us al-ilm. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين وجزاكم الله خيرا. Now go to eat.